And this is what we are going to be making. So beautiful deep dish Chicago pan pizza. Just hang with me and I'm going to teach you how to do it in just a minute, and you are going to have a result like this, I promise. Hi, it's Grandma Roseanne and we're going to make pizza, but not just regular pizza. We're going to make Chicago deep dish skillet pizza. Now, I lived in Chicago for like 25 years. Trust me, I know good pizza. So we're going to start out making the dough from scratch because it's so easy to make. It's not a hard thing to do. So what I have in here is 2 tablespoons of sugar. I have 2 tablespoons of yeast plus 3/4 teaspoon. That's going to go right in there. Sugar actually activates yeast and it makes it much more active, much quicker. And then here I have 3/4 cup of water. Now that water needs to be at about 110 degrees. And I never measure it. I don't take the temperature. I just stick my finger in, and if it's the same right temperature that you would give that to a baby to drink their formula, that's about the right. Okay? So it's easy to do it that way. Now we're just going to mix this up, and I'm going to let this sit out here for a while by itself. What we're doing here is we're just proofing the yeast. Now, I buy yeast in bulk, so I keep it like this. I buy it at Costco, and my goodness, it's like 2 pounds, but you just stick it in your freezer and it'll last forever. So that's the way I do it. Now we want to get some flour going, and we're going to use bread flour. So I have got 3 cups of bread flour that are going to go into my mixer. If you don't have a mixer, you can still make this pizza. You're going to do it by hand, and at the after it finishes mixing in here, I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. But if you have a mixer, life is wonderful. All right, so that's 3 cups of bread flour, and then I have 1 tablespoon of kosher salt and 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, when you're doing anything and you're using salt and yeast, if you're putting them in the same bowl, be sure and separate them, okay? Because they don't like each other, they don't play nice together. Now that we have our dry ingredients in there, I'm going to put in 1.5 cups of water. And I'm going to put in a dough hook. I'm going to start it out kind of slow. I'm going to get down here and just get the bottom so that it's all caught up in there and there's not a big glob of flour down at the bottom. Now I'm going to kick it up to like a medium, and this is actually doing the kneading for you. Now, if you don't have a mixer like this, you literally could put all the flour on your counter. That's just my stove staying on up at temperature. You could put all the flour on the counter, create a well, put your liquid in there and the rest of your ingredients, and then just start folding it in together until you can get something where it'll become a dough, and then you can start kneading it. It's easy to do, you guys, it really is. Now I want you to take a look at this, and this is our yeast. Can you look at this, cameraman? Can they see it? You see how it's all bubbly? Because it's alive. That's what it's doing in there, it's alive. And when you're proofing it, all you're doing is testing to make sure that it's alive, because you don't want to go through all of this trouble and then end up with pizza dough that isn't going to rise. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Look at that, that is beautiful. Get all of it in there. Okay. After it has incorporated like this, I'm going to add 2 more cups of bread flour. We're gonna start kind of low, otherwise the flour will do this. We'll be all covered in it. Oh, can you come in here, Chuck? Let me take a look at this. Can you see that? It's becoming a really nice ball in there. So now I'm gonna kick it up a little bit more to about a medium, and I'm going to let this knead like this for 8 minutes. So I will be back in 8 minutes. So all you are going to do is pull the dough out. If you're doing this by hand, you got your well, and all you're doing is this. You're going to roll it, quarter turn, knead it with your palms, with the heels of your hand. Quarter turn, just like that. And when you started out and you had just flour, oil, salt, water, and yeast in the middle, then you're pulling it all together like this. You want to get it to where it's nice and smooth like this. So where it took me 8 minutes here, it literally could take you maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes to do it. But it's kind of therapeutic as well. So after you have done it, you want to have it pretty airtight. So I put plastic over it, just like this. And then I put a heavy cloth over it. If you don't have a cloth like this, a terry cloth towel would do just fine. And then set it someplace where there is no draft, and you will be good. It's going to take probably an hour and a half, and what you're looking for is for it to double in size. All right, so it has now been an hour and a half, and look at how wonderfully beautiful that dough is. It has risen so nicely, really, really nice. When you're making a deep dish pizza like this, a Chicago style pizza, it's almost like you're frying that pizza. Even though it's in the oven, it's like you're frying it. So you're going to put in 3 tablespoons of olive oil. You want to make sure it's just all nicely coated. We want all of that pizza dough to be able to get that oil. Yeah. Now you're going to, now I'm not going to be able to tell you how much dough to get. I don't know how many people you're feeding. And what I've got here is about a 9-inch pan. So I'm going to take probably half of the dough. It's a sticky one. So now you're just going to dapple. And dapple simply means you're stretching out that dough using your little fingers like this. I don't know how the word dapple ever came to be. I should probably look it up and see what it actually says. I have my oven set at 400 degrees. And what we're doing here is a cheese pizza. Well, now that we have dappled ourselves to the very edge of the pan, I'm going to go ahead. You want to take a look at it so you'll see what it looks like? We're just to the edge. Just like that. You're just stretching it out with your fingers. That's all you're doing. So we need to then cover it again. And I'm going to put this heavy cloth over it, and we're going to just let it sit there for 90 minutes, and then we can continue on. Well, our pizza is rising beautifully, really, really looking good. So now we're going to make the sauce, but you guys, this is the best deal ever. It's a no cook sauce, no cook. So what I did is I got some tomatoes, whole tomatoes in their juice, and this is a 28 ounces. Now 28 ounces in their juice is a lot. We only want 14 ounces. So what I did is I just strained them and I just took the meat of the tomato. That's it. Now, if you guys like tomato juice, this will be great tomato juice. If any of you like, what is that, Bloody Marys? I don't like Bloody Marys. But if anybody likes them, that would be really good as well. So now we're going to set this aside. We don't need that anymore. So to this, we're now going to add 1 clove of garlic, and I have minced the garlic very fine. And then we want 1 teaspoon of olive oil, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar, 1/4 of a teaspoon of oregano or Italian seasoning, whatever you have, and just a few sprinkles of chili flakes, not too much. Then all we do is pulse. It looks yummy. Just taste it so we can have a little bit of balance in the seasoning if we need it. It needs a little bit more salt, and I understand why. Because I guess my bowl, my little holder here was wet, and a lot of the salt stuck. There. Let me just give it another little quick pulse. That should be fine. Okay, now we come to the fun stuff. Take a look at what has happened to our pizza dough. It has gotten so nice and puffy, just the way we want it. So now we're ready for our cheeses. The first cheese that we're going to use is a Monterey Jack. I've got it nicely shredded here, and you know when you have a grilled cheese sandwich, or if you have a cheeseburger and some of the cheese spilled out and it got kind of crusty, it's called frico. And we are going to create that because that is such a flavorful thing. So around, come here and look, let them see this. On the outside of this pan, we're going to put the Monterey Jack. So we're going to actually create that spillage that happens because it is super delicious. I don't know how much I put on there, just whatever you want. Okay? Now, what you want to do is press it onto the side of your pan so it adheres a bit. And when you do that, you also can tell where you were a little light on the cheese portion. And that person, you don't want that person to get gypped. Okay. That is perfect. Now, for the sauce, and we're just going to spread that just nicely in the center. This really takes some time, so if you're just aware of that and you allocate time for the dough to rise, and you allocate time for the 90 minutes when it's in the pan, the rest of it is relatively easy. It really is. There's just not too many things that can go wrong here. There. And that, as you will see, covers perfectly. Now, to this we're going to top with mozzarella. And some Parmesan. And I do want to add just a few basil leaves because they're magnificent and we grow them, and I love it when we can use them. Okay. Now this is going to go on the lowest rack of your 400-degree oven, which has preheated. Come look. Oh, it looks so gorgeous. Okay, we're looking at 25 minutes. And then we will have pizza for dinner. We shall return. So what we have done is we have created a piece of art. Now come in close, take a really good look at it. It is beautiful. Now you can see that it's still bubbling all the way around the sides here. So we're going to let it just kind of rest for about 3 minutes, let that intense heat kind of go away for a little bit, and then I'll show you what we need to do next. So what you want to do is always be really careful because this is a really bad burn. So just take a tea towel, set it over the handle, and then when you come back, you'll remember that it's really hot and you can be more cautious. Now, we know that the top is beautiful, but we want to take a look at the underside. When you have a pan pizza in Chicago, the underside is also crispy. So we want to take a look and see if it is crispy, all well and good. If not, we have to work with it. So just take a spatula. Let me get this way so you guys can see. And do you see that? It is not crispy. So this is what we do now. And this is normal. This is not an odd thing to have happen. We're going to go to the stovetop, right over here. So now that we're at the stovetop, we want that flame to be just at a medium to maybe a little bit medium high in there. All we're doing is cooking off the bottom of that pizza. And it'll be just for a few minutes, and then we'll be done. We won't be done, then we get to eat the bloody thing. I think we've done enough about browning the bottom. So now we're going to take it out of the skillet. And look at what I did. As I told you, take a little towel, put it around there. It's so easy to grab that another time and really burn yourself. That's experience telling you, because I will tell you I have done that. You want to be sure it's released. And that is what you call a beautiful transfer. That's what you also call Roseanne's heart palpitating for a few minutes there. Cut this into quarters. Obviously, you can cut it again into eighths. And when you're cutting a pizza, you don't cut from end to end. You cut from center to end. Center to end. And that way you're not destroying that crust that's in the middle there. So let's take a look at what we have. And let's, oh my goodness, you guys, look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. Okay, so let's see how it tastes, because that's what it's all about. Perfect. that is a perfect Chicago skillet pizza. Perfect. That sauce is so fresh. It's amazing. And we want just a little bit of this treacle on the back here that we worked so hard to create. Oh, that's heaven, you guys. That is heaven. All those cheeses in there, perfect. Now, we chose to make a 3-cheese pizza here. Toppings are up to you. Ham, pepperoni, Italian sausage, mushrooms, pineapple, onions, olives, you name it. When you have a base like this, go and put anything and everything on it that you love. Well, I'll show you right now. Cameraman and I are going to love eating this pizza for our dinner. So subscribe. Ingredients will be below. They'll be there for you. And hit the little bell so you know when we come back. And just enjoy. This is a beautiful evening for us to have pizza, a glass of vino to go with the pizza, and a movie. How does that sound for a night? I think it's pretty good. So thank you guys for coming. Come back. Bye.